Here we are again, friends. Very sorry about the technology issues. I hope that you're all able to see me now, and Disa will be back in just a moment. I apologize. Apparently, my Wi-Fi is having a really rough time tonight, but hopefully we'll be able to get started in just a second here. As I was saying before, if you do have any questions, comments, anything like that, and you're watching live or the replay, please feel free to leave them as a comment on this video. If we get them while we're live, we will answer them. And if we get them later, then we'll get some answers to you. If you have a private question, then you can private message us on Facebook or Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. We love answering questions. And yeah, if you have any other questions about Mama Bear PT, we are a pregnancy and postpartum support practice. We offer all of our services virtually, and then we also offer physical therapy, home visits throughout northern New Jersey. So yes, that's us. I'm Dr. Helene. I am the founder of Mama Bear PT, and I'm a physical therapist by training. And we'll have Disa with us in just a moment. Disa is she is our Mama Bear lactation practitioner. She has successfully breastfed her two sons, but she had a lot of stress and anxiety around it. And so she's worked for more than a decade now to help others have less stress and anxiety around breastfeeding as a lactation counselor. So we're so lucky to have her at Mama Bear, and I'm so grateful that she's here with us tonight. Hopefully now, adding her, hopefully I don't freeze this time, and we can successfully talk about breastfeeding. Hooray! I'm sorry. My internet is just not doing well today.
It was worth the wait, though, wasn't it?
Excellent bunny ears. Excellent bunny ears.
You know, I live, until further notice, celebrate everything. Why not?
Very nice. Very nice. Yes, absolutely. We do too. I just don't always remember what to celebrate. But you know that we try to celebrate random things. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm well. You look marvelous, beautiful pregnant lady.
Oh, thank you. This is my hair and makeup from the Evergreen Athletic photo shoot that I was in today. They do sustainable, locally made maternity activewear, which was really fun. It was a great brand. The mom who founded it was there with us, so we had a really good time.
You look magnificent.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But we're here tonight. I was giving a little bit of background on, that you breastfed your two sons, and you had a lot of stress and anxiety around it, not a lot of guidance and help, and so you've dedicated more than a decade now to helping breastfeeding parents figure it out with less stress and anxiety and a lot more love and support and guidance than you had. So I guess, I don't want to put the horse, I want to put the horse before the cart here, but let's what are your top, what's the number one thing you would say to someone who's 8 months pregnant and they're gonna start breastfeeding soon? What's the first thing you're gonna say to them?
Well, thank you for this opportunity once again. I love you to pieces. I love our mission. This is awesome. So I have my cue cards here. I will share. Top 5 breastfeeding tips, okay? Learn, listen, look. I'll come back and revisit each one of these separately, but just plant these in your heads, okay? Learn, listen, look. And then get handy. Early and often. Vote early, vote often. No, really, we don't vote often. We vote. No, it's a handy phrase. Go everywhere together. And find or create your warm chain of support. That's it in a nutshell. Thanks everyone for coming.
The show is over. I feel like early and often is one of the things that I most missed the first time. So I'm excited to hear you talk about that.
Yeah. And these are the top 5 things nobody really tells a mom or a family or, the parents and partners. Nobody tells them these things. It's like you're supposed to just know it through osmosis, and it doesn't work that way.
I really thought I would, I was like, well, I got breasts, I got a baby. But
yep.
I found it did not go that way. So what's our first tip? Our first tip was listen, look, and another word without.
Learn.
Pregnancy brain.
Learn. Look. 3 L's. Yeah. So before your baby comes, whether you're a first-time mom or you're expecting a second child or third child, learn everything you can. Look at other women who breastfeed. Listen to what they say while you can still form a cogent thought in your head. Because once the baby gets here, that goes out the window. So while you're still in this beautiful phase of pregnancy and blissful and thinking about what your baby's going to look like, go to anybody you know who has had a positive breastfeeding experience and talk to them, and more importantly, listen to them. If you know someone who's currently breastfeeding, find them and park yourself at their home. Maybe bring a meal, do a few loads of wash for them or something, but park yourself with them and just watch them breastfeed. In our culture, watching breastfeeding is not a normal thing. And we can go into the whole thing of the sexualization of breasts in the United States, but we're not going to do that now. So that's why you won't see many people breastfeeding in public, although that is changing ever more so. But you find somebody, okay, I'm going to do this. You latch on to somebody you know who's breastfeeding and just stay with them, make yourself useful, go help them in any other way you can, and learn everything you can from them. That is the #1 best way to prepare for breastfeeding, is to cozy up with breastfeeding.
I love that idea. I think that I still probably haven't to this day really watched anyone else breastfeed, even though I have friends now. But when I was preparing for our first, I didn't have any friends who were breastfeeding. So do you think that like looking up on YouTube, just to watch somebody nursing, like would that be what you'd recommend as a replacement if you don't know anyone who's currently breastfeeding?
If you don't know anyone currently who's breastfeeding, I would find a group, which is part of our Find Your Warm Chain of Support. I would find a group, a breastfeeding group, even if it's mamas who are already mamas and their partners who are already breastfeeding in the group, or even a pregnancy breastfeeding group. I would go be with real people in real time if you can. The next best substitute is to watch online, but I will say that with a caveat. There's a lot of bad breastfeeding intel online, so I can't just say that carte blanche, because it will get you into a lot of trouble and confusion and upset. But I'm going to say it now, and I'll say it often. The website that's called Droplets, like droplets of milk, the first milk your baby gets, which are just drops. It's tiny drops. Lots and lots of times every 24 hours, but it's just drops. It's a teaspoon of breast milk every time your baby feeds in the first 24, 48. 36 hours. It's teaspoons, but it is round the clock. And that's what starts the breastfeeding journey and your beautiful milk production. So droplets, I will certainly recommend the website Droplets, whether you are pregnant currently now or you're in your breastfeeding journey. Go to that website. I don't have any endorsement things. I'm doing my little disclaimer, and I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say, but I'm not connected to them in any way. No, it's a beautiful, loving website. And it even has information for moms who are perhaps having to have a planned C-section for medical reasons, and you know you'll be having your baby early. There's a whole section just for that. So if you don't have a live in-person mama to cozy up to, Droplets is your next best website. That's where I would recommend.
Okay. All right. That's really, really helpful. Thank you. Cool. Okay. What's our number 2? Was that early and often, or am I jumping the gun?
What? Should
What
I
was
go
our
to my
number
next
2 tip? Yeah, let's
get
get
handy.
handy.
Get handy means, and this may sound intuitive, but get handy, hands-on, familiar with your breasts. Yes, we wash our breasts every day, and if we're doing what we're supposed to do, we do our breast self-exams monthly at least. But get handy in a way that makes you feel comfortable handling your breasts more often than just those few times every month, or daily when we're showering. You will want to know how to express milk from your breasts early, right after your baby gets here. So being comfortable with touching your breasts in ways other than maybe a mom, especially if someone hasn't breastfed before, that is a very vital and empowering step that a mom can take before birth.
Very cool. Yeah,
And
I remember
I
doing some hand
more about,
expression.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll just do that right now, right? So behold the breast. Look at that gorgeous nipple. Oh, it's not just everywhere you can be watching live talk about nipples, right? But anyway, without getting in trouble. But so your breast is made of fatty tissue primarily, and your milk ductwork is laid down in this lovely, gorgeous fatty tissue that's all around this breast. The nipple is just the exit ramp. So there's not much action going on there except to allow the flow of milk to come to the baby's mouth. But all this gorgeous, and you can see me pressing and pushing on this right now, all this gorgeous fatty tissue is where your milk is made and stored. And so this beautiful technique that's called hand expression allows you to pull milk from your breast when your baby's not necessarily at the breast, which goes back to early and often. Even if baby is not at the breast, especially in those first early hours and days and weeks, you can still bring milk from the breast by doing hand expression. And here's a real quick, just flash, short version technique. So you position your thumb and forefinger at about opposite sides of the breast, not right up on the nipple, but a little beyond the nipple in the areola range, or a little beyond the areola, and you gently press back against the breast tissue toward your rib cage. You're not stretching the nipple. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. That's bad deal. Don't do that. Do this. Cushion your breast. It feels better that way too. Cushion your breast and just gently push back towards your rib cage, and then in and gently squeeze and release, and gently squeeze and release. And the cool thing is, then you rotate and you do the same thing. You do that several times in a row, but then rotate and push back and gently compress and release and compress and release. And do that several more times in that area. And then bring your hand around to the other side. And partners, this is an awesome thing you can do for your breastfeeding partner. Sometimes mom is just too tired. And this is a cool thing you can do, and it's very much a loving, supportive thing to do. Push back, compress, release, compress, release. And what's happening is your milk is going to be dripping into either a little spoon you have under your breast. Again, partners, help is very important. Or a little cup or a bigger cup if your milk is flowing faster. And so all the milk you get out of your breast, every drop you get out of your breast by hand expression is a signal to tell your body it's time to make more milk. Every single drop. We say in our breastfeeding world, every drop counts, every ounce counts. Every time you let milk leave your breast, even when your baby's not on your breast, is a signal to tell your body, make more milk. Your brain talks to your breasts. It says, there's this neat little hormonal thing, I won't get too technical, going on that says, okay, ramp it up. There's room in that breast tissue. Let's ramp it up. Let's fill it up with some more milk, because all this fatty tissue is filled with your milk glands. So anytime you release milk, your body makes milk. So that's a big, easy thing you can do. Get handy. Now, I will caution, if a mama is in a position of baby's not here yet, but it looks like she might go into preterm labor, I would like you to consult your OB or midwife, your practitioner, about the safety of doing this, because if baby isn't here yet, every time you ask your body to release milk, your uterus is also contracting. So we don't want anything happening sooner than anybody wants it to. So just a little check with your practitioner about that.
Yes. Yes. And I will
Any
also say
questions
one
so
thing that
far?
surprised me. We didn't have questions come up, but I'll say one thing that surprised me was like a little later in my breastfeeding journey. You know, you kind of think of your nipple as like one thing, but when I did some hand expression a little later in my journey, it sprays out at different like angles because the nipple has multiple holes.
Yes.
Which was,
yeah.
again, it's like not something that you talk about before you're preparing to breastfeed. And you think like, oh, it'll be like a nice stream. And I like, I guess it was after my milk had come in pretty strongly. It was quite startling.
I'm so glad you brought that up. That's right. As I said, the nipple is the exit ramp, but the nipple is not just this solitary, lone little milk duct that squirts out in this nice, easy stream. Mama's nipples have anywhere from 7 to 15 little duct openings. So depending on where you are in your breastfeeding journey, when you're doing hand expression, you might get a spray. And I know mamas who have had sprays go across the room. So, you know, prepare. And again, partners can be very helpful with that too. Just use your imagination. Anyway, I'm really glad you brought that up, because there are numerous exits for the milk to come out. Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay.
Now we're at early and often.
Early and often. So our baby gets here. We're in this glow of relaxing back. Hopefully you're in a birthing center, or you're at home with support from your midwife or your supportive network or your practitioner in a hospital, you are in a baby-friendly setting where as soon as baby comes earthside, baby goes straight to your bare chest and tummy, little naked baby body right here. This is Marnie, my little naked baby body right here, Marnie. So baby comes and lies on your chest, bare chest, and comes awake and alive and aware in our earthside journey. And that stimulates your baby to roll around, and it might take 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 2 hours. It might take a little time, but your baby will roll around and come and do the breast crawl, start down here. And my mama bear, peep, peep, sure, love it, love it. Anyway, and eventually that little baby says, I smell that milk. It's here somewhere. I am ready. And your baby will latch on to your breast right there and then, given due time, without any coaching or urging from anyone else. So that's the early part. Baby comes, baby latches right away. And again, there's no time frame, there's no time limit. If you're able to have a good birthing experience in a supportive network, even with an emergency C-section, check, make sure you can have this experience. There's no reason why you can't, as long as your wishes are in place and physicians know this is what at least is on your wish list. Of course, everybody's safety first and foremost is what we're concerned about. But given that, baby gets to breast early and then often, like all the time. In the first 24 hours, I love to see babies at breast 8 to 10 times in a 24-hour period. If there's more, that's even great. That's even better. But again, the more times milk releases from your breast, your body keeps getting that signal to make more milk. And those early days are vital and critical for establishing your milk production. And notice I say production. Milk production is an ongoing thing. Milk supply is sort of static. You have a supply and then it's gone. But that's not what happens when you're breastfeeding. It's milk production. And so this is an ongoing 24/7 process. So the more that your baby gets to the breast, the more milk your body will make. So it's going to seem to you like, oh my gosh, I just fed this baby. How can he or she still be hungry? Put your baby to the breast. You can't overfeed a breastfeeding baby. Never, ever, never. It doesn't happen. No matter what anybody tells you, if your baby is feeding at the breast, you can't overfeed it. It's impossible, because your baby just eventually says, I'm done. I'm going into my milk coma. I'm going to sleep for a while now. So you can't ever harm your baby by putting your baby to the breast. Early and often, like more often than anybody tells you. And that's the thing that concerns me. Moms think, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to feed once every 3 hours or once every 2 hours. You and I know when we're hungry, we eat. It doesn't matter what the clock says. I wouldn't want to be kept hungry if I wanted something to eat. Your babies need that too. So if they're doing these cute little subtle cues like, you know, sucking on their knuckles or even or sticking their fingers in their mouth and sucking, or here's a really subtle one that a lot of people don't tell mamas to look for and dads to look for and partners to look for. It's this. Babies know innately that breasts come in twos. And so they might just be waking up from a little slumber. Little slumber is the key word there, little slumber. And they're moving their heads back and forth and looking side to side. They are ready to feed. They want breast milk. So when you see your baby like that, even if your baby's not awake yet, you just gently pick them up and you put them to breast, and I guarantee you they're going to be, nah, yes, how did you know? Oh, well, because we're a pair, right? So early and often is part of that process. And I don't think moms hear that enough, that it's normal for your baby to want to eat all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. We do have a question, um, which is from Erica. What happens if there are complications and that initial chest crawl is not possible? And then you don't get to have that immediate skin to skin. What are your recommendations then for like what, it's these things are really, really important, but I know from experience and from talking to you that it's not like if you miss this, like that's it. You should just pack up your bags. Your baby's gonna have formula. Like there's so much opportunity. So this if that first those first few hours don't go as planned, don't go as hoped for, what's the best thing we can do?
That is such a vital, important question. I'm so glad Erica asked that. So here's the deal. It ain't over till it's over, and it ain't over for a long, long time. And even if your birth plan didn't go as you wished, or you had an emergency situation, your baby still wants to be close to you. And especially as soon as you can get your baby to you, bare skin to skin. I use that phrase over and over and over. Our babies are hardwired to sniff mama and sniff. The milk's here, but they can sniff milk all over us. The little things, they're just made to do this, So even if you miss,
we can sniff milk all
what?
over ourselves too. I feel like those first few days postpartum, I smelled milk all the time too. It's like everything smells like milk.
It's That's good. That's good. It is not over. It does not mean you cannot successfully breastfeed. And any level of attempting breastfeeding to give your baby breast milk in any way, whether it's through your breast or a supplemental nursing system or a little bottle or a vial or finger feeding, which those are lots of other methods that we get breast milk into babies. All of those things count. It doesn't mean you're a failure. And even if, to me, there's no failure in breastfeeding. To me, that's just how I feel about it. Because any attempt to get breast milk into babies is huge. They can't get that anywhere else, So the trying counts. Babies will always want to get to the breast. So especially in the next 24, 48 hours, as soon as you can get your baby to the breast and skin on skin and baby resting, even babies who may wind up in a pre-NICU situation, kangaroo care is an important aspect of helping babies through that part of joining Earth too early. And reach out to your providers to make sure that that's something that's in place in wherever your baby might be, so that you can, it's truly, kangaroos have pouches. And so we stick our babies in our pouch inside our shirts. And most hospitals who have kangaroo care have special garments you can wrap around you and your baby to keep your baby there. Their heart rate stabilizes, they smell you, they learn to look for the milk. There's also this lovely thing called biological nurturing. It's also referred to as a little extension of skin on skin. It's also referred to as, Susan Colson is one of the big proponents of this. Ways that you can connect with your baby, kind of reliving the birth experience. And it involves getting in a warm tub of water, have a support person close to you, even once you're home, even if everything was fine, but baby maybe didn't latch. In the hospital, usually latching goes fine till it's time to go home. That's another thing people don't tell moms. But you can get into a nice warm tub, candlelight, soft music, nice music playing, partner supporting by your side because it's slippery when wet. And you just lay that little baby in this nice warm tub that you're relaxing in. And that helps your baby recreate coming into this world, and it re-stimulates them to look for mama's breast. So that's another laid back breastfeeding, biological nurturing. That's another technique families can use after baby gets here if you didn't have the ideal birth situation that you were hoping for. I'm so glad you brought that up because it's definitely not over.
Yeah, there's so many chances. There are so many chances. All right,
Okay,
what's our next one?
Go everywhere
Yeah.
together. First of all, don't leave the house for a few weeks because people, and especially pandemic, right? We're still not over it. As much as I hope and pray, we're still not over it. But stay home for a while. Don't get your baby out among strangers because people think they have to touch babies. And it's like, no. So stay home for a while. But when you do get out, take baby with you everywhere because that connection, especially if you can do baby wearing, like wearing baby in a wrap or a carrier that's close to your skin and your breasts, that still stimulates baby to go into normal feeding behaviors and patterns, even if you're out and about. And you can stop anywhere and put your baby on the breast and feed as baby needs feeding. So I know there's this urge to get away and have a time away with your partner or just go out to dinner or something. And in a few weeks, that's okay in some short bursts. But early on, in the first few weeks of baby's life, I'm going to say 6 weeks for sure, you want to stay together pretty much as all the time as you can. That's why I say go everywhere together. We know that your milk production is a cumulative process. And so the milk that you release to your baby through breastfeeding and or hand expression and or pumping, any kind of milk release in the first few days sets the tone for the milk production you will make in the next week to 10 days. And that milk production sets the stage for your milk production for the next 2 weeks. And that 2-week section sets the stage for the next 4 weeks. And the 4 weeks sets the stage for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So early and often, stay together. That's what prolongs milk production and gets your body into this new habit of making milk. And even if you've already had a baby before, and I say this all the time, I can't help myself, it's just true. Your mammaries have a memory. And so if you breastfed a baby before, your breasts remember how to make milk more, better, and faster. But they still need that stimulation. So baby to the breast, stick together, feed on demand. I mean, that demand word kind of puts people off. Feed on your baby's feeding cues. All those little things I talked about, that tells you baby's hungry way before they cry. So stick together.
Excellent. Feed on request. Feed to order.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
They request, they tell us, they show us. It's just, we have so many other people in our ears, and I hate this. Oh, well, you pick that baby up every time they cry. You pick that baby, you put that baby to the breast every time they make a little, yes, Yes, you do, because that's what mamas and babies need. And I'm here to tell you, put that baby on the breast every time they peep, every time they squeak. If they go, put them on the breast. It's way easier to latch a baby when they're in this little rest stage than when they're, wah, wah, wah. That's hard on mama. That's hard on baby. Everybody's upset. That's hard on supportive partner. Truly, you can't overdo it. To the breast. Anytime they peep, they squeak, they open their eye, put them on the breast. That's an easy go-to. You can't go wrong.
Yes, yes. And I will say, I definitely did that after our like slightly bumpy start. I definitely did that, and my son had the greatest rolls everywhere, little wrist rolls, thigh rolls, and my mom was concerned that he was being overfed, which you already spoke to. Breastfed babies cannot be overfed, but you know, he was very high percentage wise in his weight, and she was concerned that he was chubby. And the minute he became mobile, it all just fell right off, and he's like a toothpick now because he's 2.5 and he runs everywhere like a maniac, and he's super skinny, and I miss his rolls. But I will tell you, just if you have any concern at all that your child is too chubby, it's like the minute they start crawling, and then especially walking, all that weight, it's been stored up, it's special energy that's been stored up for them, and then they just use it, and it's so I'll just share that. I do miss his wrist rolls. Oh, they were so cute. I hope this next one has little wrist rolls too.
Oh my gosh, but it is the best kind of fat rolls in the world, and we'll never have those again. Breast milk rolls, that it's a healthy fat. It's oligosaccharides. Nobody needs to remember that word, but it's the most healthy long chain omega fatty acids our bodies will ever have. And the baby's body knows how and what to do with those great fat stores. And you brought up such an important point. When they start being able to move around, whether it's just do a little army crawl or even just rolling from side to side, all those calories that have been stored that you've been snuggling and sniffing and snacking on, they go to work and they help our babies get that beautiful, healthy energy. It's so awesome. Yes. And I'll tell you another thing and I'm sure your provider was well enlightened. A lot of providers are using growth charts that were put out by formula companies lots and lots of years ago, and breastfed babies do not grow on the same growth chart that formula fed babies do. So just make sure your provider is using the most current version of the WHO, World Health Organization growth charts, because that's how breastfeeding babies grow. So I want to make a tiny little here. I said breastfed babies can't be overfed. And I want everybody to remember that I said they can't be overfed at the breast. So when they're at the breast, it takes work to get milk out. And there's this beautiful balance between calorie output that our babies have to use and calorie input that's going into their bodies. But if babies are being fed breast milk through a bottle for whatever reason, whether mom's in a temporary, latching, figuring out thing, or mom's back at work or has to be away for some other time period, if babies are using breast milk in a bottle, whether it's breast milk or formula, it's really easy to overfeed babies. So I want moms to know your baby's not going to take in too much at the breast. But if someone else is feeding them even your breast milk in a bottle, there are ways to make sure that baby doesn't get overfed. And I would encourage everybody to look at bottle feeding tips for the breastfed baby. It's more based on what a natural rhythm is for baby at the breast. So there are some really good links, and I can post them, in our comment section afterwards. I'll do that in the droplets site. But just know that when baby's at the breast, they will not overfeed. It's impossible, I promise. So I'm glad you talked about that. And knowing that your baby has good, healthy, chunky little rolls. That's good. That's good stuff. Yay for you. And it's so cute. It endears them to our hearts, right? So all those nights we aren't sleeping and all those days we're walking around in a sort of a world, it makes it all worth it. We look at them and they're just perfect. So thanks for bringing that up. Well, here's our last thought. Find or create your warm chain of support. Nobody ever breastfed alone historically. Our culture changed that for a lot of generations. It's slowly coming back around, and there are villages. It takes a village. I know we hear that a lot, but breastfeeding takes a village. So look for places that have breastfeeding support groups. And sometimes that word support group gets in a mama's head and they think, well, support group, that must mean I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't want anybody to know I don't know what I'm doing because I need support. That's not it at all. Remember I said, look for women who are breastfeeding when you are still pregnant. Listen to every word out of their mouths. Look at reputable websites. Read what books are reputable. But that's part of your warm chain of support. You surround yourself with people who know about breastfeeding because that's what we used to do. And I know I've said this before in our launch for Mama Bear and several other times. When mamas have breastfed through history, we weren't alone. We weren't ostracized. We weren't put in a room by ourselves. We were surrounded by typically the most important people, pretty much all of them women, in our lives who helped us, maybe even helped birth us. And they were there to help us immediately to get our babies to the breast. And if they saw some little glitch, they just said, turn baby this way, hold baby this way, lay back, because that's how we give birth. And that's how our babies instinctively know how to feed, in this lovely laid back position. We didn't have easy chairs. We didn't have straight back chairs. We didn't have couches. We laid back when we birthed and we laid back when we fed our babies. So all of these glorious women, I have to say women because at the time I know that's what was happening, but I know now we have a much broader chain of support that includes our partners, parents, grandparents, a friend. It doesn't matter who it is. It's someone who will be there for you. And you find that and you hang on to it. And if it's not there, if you live in kind of a remote setting or a rural setting where you don't have anything like that, create one before your baby gets here. It's not tough. You just reach out to mamas on Facebook or Instagram, or if you know some moms who are pregnant, email them or text them and just say, hey, let's go through this together, because nobody was ever meant to breastfeed alone. That's not how we started. So find your warm chain, find your village.
Yes, thank you. I think that's essential for everything about becoming a parent is not none of it should be done alone. And that's part of the reason Disa and I do what we do, because we want to be part of your village. We want to be part of your warm chain of support. I love that. And so if you do need help, if you're expecting and you need some help preparing, then Disa does offer prenatal lactation sessions where she'll help you with everything from, how to make sure your hospital is baby friendly, if that's something you're interested in, to how to get through those first few minutes, few hours, few days, things you might want to have handy. And then, of course, Disa offers lactation support for after baby is earthside, as she puts it. If you are having challenges, and we offer it virtually so that there is no concern about, COVID or other germs coming into the house. And I know Disa helped me with my first, actually over the phone. We didn't even video chat, and it made all of the difference in the world. And I was able to successfully give him all those beautiful rolls. We did 14 months of breastfeeding, and he weaned himself at 14 months. And so that's, if you are interested, then you can find us at mamabearpt.com. Also, of course, check messages on Facebook and Instagram, and our contact information is everywhere. So get in touch if you need some support. And if you're not sure what support you need, then we do offer free consultation phone calls. So just reach out and let's open up a conversation. Disa, thank you so much for your time tonight. Again, we're Mama Bear PT.
I have to stress this, especially when you said the prenatal consultation. Oh my gosh, it will save you so much time and potential stress, and just give you a sense of calm about this. Again, learn about it while you can still think a whole thought, because that won't happen after your baby gets here. So yes, we're here, prenatal, postpartum for sure, even if it's just short term. And sometimes it's just nice to hear in your ears, oh, Mama, you're doing a great job. We have a video chat, your baby's latched on, and I can hear milk flowing, I can see baby swallowing, and I can tell you it's the most joyful thing to say, you're brilliantly, beautifully normal. Oh my gosh, yay for you and baby. So yeah, we're here for you before and after. Thanks, that's a good point. And this lady, this sweet, beautiful Helene, it's such a joy for me to be part of this partnership. It brings me happiness every day. Thank you again.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you. It's my privilege to have you. So with that, again, if you have any questions and you're watching the replay, please leave them in the comment section. We'll make sure we get answers for you. Disa's also going to drop the links for some of the resources she mentioned. And we do have free resources available at mamabearpt.com. Maybe we'll add some more based on our conversation today. So stay tuned for that. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram to find out when we have free resources that drop. And otherwise, have a great night, everybody. Enjoy the beautiful weather.